Yep.
Good afternoon. Welcome back again. Topic Arahant and Bodhisattva ideals and Samasam Buddha. This topic is included in the new syllabus, but whether it comes out or not, I don't know, even though the coordinators is not likely for this year. But the other topic like karma and rebirth, I think should be popular. The rest all new one. But anyhow, just learn it in case next year the topic comes out. So, okay. 3 different ideals, as it's called in the text, a Buddhist text. So, we must know the differences between Arahant, Bodhisattva, Samasam Buddha. 3 different practices to achieve their separate goals. So, before that, we try to, I try to introduce the sources. Most of the sources come from the late text, commentaries. For example, if you want to know the paramis, because certain practices, especially the late Theravada practice, talks about the 10 paramis to become a Buddha. In case, for example, in the case of Sumedha, then this piece of information you don't find in the early sutta. We can find in Charya Pitaka, Buddha Wangsa, and the commentary. Then Apadana. Then from there we can find some information about the Pacceka Buddha. Then the Jataka stories, you can learn something about the past life of our Gautama Buddha. Even though the stories are not actually Buddha's word, they were story taken from the the public masses, and they were included just to illustrate the past life, the virtue, how Bodhisattva practiced in his previous life, practice all the virtues, you see, because in the early sutta, hardly you can find how Gautama Buddha practiced all the 10 paramis. Nothing, very seldom, because the parami was scattered here and there, and not as a as a complete formula for one to practice, you see, just like Sumedha's case. Then another thing is that the Pali commentary, Ditana Kata, they talk about the biography of Gautama Buddha in his past life. So most of these are late text, commentaries. The 2 books which I would like you all to read, these 2 are very good. Number 7 and number 8. The Bodhisattva's Ideal, essay on the emergence of Mahayana. This is a very good book, Bhikkhu Bodhi, Analayo, BPS publication of Sri Lanka. Then all the Bodhisattva ideals have been discussed in details. Then another good book on Pacceka Buddha. Because this type of book, regarding Pacceka Buddha, you can hardly find in the market, you see. The very good book is this, Pacceka Buddha, the Indian Ascetic by Ria Koppenbot, BPS publication. This is the only good books about Pacceka Buddha, you see. So these 2 books you try to find, but you can't find in Malaysia. If you go to Sri Lanka, BPS publication bookstore, then you try to get these 2. Okay, the sources. So now we begin with our sharing. General introduction about the 3 ideals. So in the Buddhist text, we always find the 3 ideals. First, Shravaka Bodhi, the Pacceka Bodhi, and Samasam Buddha. Samasam Bodhi, the 3 different bodies, 3 parts that people practice in order to achieve the final goals, you see. So these 3 ideals, sometimes people interpret 3 different parts or 3 different vehicles or 3 different ways to attain, to achieve their goal, to achieve the enlightenment, you see. So during the early days, we call the early sutta, or we call it the early Buddhism, different from what we call it Theravada, because Theravada appears about 100 years after Buddha passed away, you see. So during Buddha's time, this period normally we call early Buddhism, 3 different ideals were recorded in the text also. First, Gautama Buddha himself. Being a Buddha himself, of course, we recognize there's existed the ideal of Buddhahood, correct or not? Otherwise, you cannot say, oh, Gautama Buddha, how you become a Buddha? Because through the practice of Buddhahood. So number 2, Arahantship. So through Buddha's teaching, because Buddha, Gautama Buddha enlightened as Buddha, own effort without external teachers. He practiced himself, he realized and he learned, he rediscovered the Dharma, and he gained enlightenment. He got the knowledge, he can teach other people. So those disciples taught by him, learn from him, and practice after listening to the Dharma, to the teaching. Ultimately, they gain enlightenment as Arahant. Why not Buddha? Because Buddha say it's very difficult to become a Buddha during his time. Extremely difficult. But he doesn't say that people cannot become Buddha. That's a very slim chance, you see. Most of the disciples who learn under him ultimately became Arahant, who have eradicated all the defilement. So this second jhana, second ideal, we call it a Swavaka. Swavaka jhana, listen to the teacher, hearing from the teachers, ultimately gain enlightenment. So this method, by hearing from the teacher must be qualified, superior one, and not simply somebody talk and then he learn, you see. Qualified external teacher, learn from him and practice and enlighten. Then this method we call Swavakayana, hearer, Swavaka Sanko. You see? So second method. The third way, Pachika Buddhahood. Pachika Buddhahood is another way to gain enlightenment, but ultimately he became a Pachika Buddha. Also, without external help, he enlightened through his own efforts, but he aspired to become Pachika Buddha and not Buddha. There's a difference, you see. And he did not listen from an external teacher, only that he practiced himself, rediscover the one different thing is that he aspired to become Pachika Buddha. He became a Pachika Bodhisattva, and ultimately he became Pachika Buddha. But the virtues are different, you see. So 3 different ways during early Buddhism. So early Buddhism recognized 3 jhanas, but later when Theravada appears 100 years later, there's more or less the same. They still recognize the 3 jhana. That means Swavaka jhana, the Arahantship. For example, Buddha taught all the 5 disciples, taught Moggallana, all is Arahant. So existence of Arahantship and existence of Arahant ideals during Theravada's time still remain. Another thing is that the existence of, they recognize the Buddha, that means the Buddhahood, Bodhisattva ideal, still there, Buddhahood. And then the Pachika Buddha ideal also recognized, because in the Sutta, Buddha mentioned that in the distant future, there will be a future Buddha called Pacheka. Sorry, not Pacheka, Maitreya Buddha. So three ideals still remain during Theravada's time, but there's a slight difference. You see, while Theravada Buddhism recognized the early sutta, they had later included a lot of post-canonical texts like Mirinda, or late texts like Buddha Wangsa, Apadana, Charapitaka. So one extra thing, one extra practice recorded in the late text like Buddha Wangsa is that the practice of 10 parami. This is totally new in the Theravada's teaching. This practice of 10 parami not found and not recorded in the early sutta. I mean, when I say practice of 10 parami, I don't mean that the individual virtue, individual parami did not exist. I don't mean that. In the early sutta, all these virtues, the dana, sila, they appear everywhere in the early sutta, scattered everywhere individually, but not systematically arranged in such a way that you have to practice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10 together. Not in that way. Because during early Buddhism, they talk about the practice of normal F4 right or not? 1, 2, sila, samadhi, panya. 8 normal F4 together. Even though it's not set, but everything you have to perfect, ultimately become then only you become Arahant. You see, you practice normal F4, they emphasize normal F4, whereas during Theravada's time, practice of normal F4 still emphasized. But apart from this, they have introduced a new concept, the practice of 10 parami together, 1 to 10 together. This one you can refer to Buddha Wangsa. Now we talk about how Sumedha practiced 10 paramita. You see, during early day, no such thing. Because in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, when you read it, you will find out that Buddha, after almost 6 years practice of asceticism, he gave up. Then he switched to different method, moderate method of practice. Then he sat under the tree, correct or not? Then he meditated. First, samadhi, samatha, concentration, 1, second, third, fourth, jhana. The mind very calm. Then he switched to the, the insight practice. Then he noticed the rising, falling, all these citta. Then he eradicated all the defilement. Then he see the impermanent and so on and so on. Then only he gain enlightenment. That's the early way, you see, when Buddha practiced and gained enlightenment. But during a Theravada's time, besides this approach, a new approach of practicing 10 paramita by Sumedha, which is totally different. You see, the story of Sumedha was that, when he met Dipankara Buddha, then he made an aspiration, say, no point to become, even though I could enlighten as Arahant, you see, but then no point. When we become Arahant, no more rebirth, you cannot come back and help everybody. And then only becoming a Buddha, you can help all the sentient beings. So this new concept, later we discuss, is not found in the early sutta. Then after the arrival, after meeting face to face with Dipankara Buddha, then after he made the aspiration to become a Buddha, then Dipankara predicted this hermit Sumedha will become a future Buddha called Gautama, and the lady Yasoda will become his wife. So when Dipankara Buddha left, Sumedha went to a quiet, secluded place and practiced 10 paramita. You read the books. I think the books that I use, Narada, new version, they included a chapter on this, how the Pankala practice and become, how Sumedha practiced 10 paramita and became Buddha in future. You see, that chapter, you see, talk quite detailed about this. So after meeting Dipankala, he practiced alone. Practice what? 10 paramita. First one, second one, third one, fourth one. Whole the total practice of 10. So 10 parami. Ultimately, he perfected all the 10 parami and became Buddha. There's after how long? After one asankya and 100,000 and 4 asankya and 100,000 kappa, mahakappa. You see, the period given in the commentary. So during in the Theravada's text, besides the emphasis of the practice of normal F4 part, they introduce the practice of 10 parami as a whole together. Different from the early sutta that people practice only normal F4 part, whereas the 10 paramis scattered here and there as an individual and separate teaching. You see. Only in the late Theravada text you find the practice of 10 paramita together at one shot, ultimately with the aim of becoming a Buddha. So Theravada, the yana regarding the attainment of Buddhahood, two different approaches. One normal F4 part, the other one practice of 10 parami. You see, this is a unique point for Theravada, which is different from the early Buddhism. Okay, so still the same, Theravada, three different ideal. Swavaka, ideal, becoming Arahant. Buddhahood, two method, normal F4 part, as well as 10 parami. For example, 10 parami by Sumedha. Then, of course, Pacheka Buddhahood. Example, Maitreya, as mentioned by Buddha in the text. So, early Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism share the same three yana. The only difference is Theravada introduced a new method of practicing 10 paramita. That's all. You see, whereas later, few hundred years later, Mahayana introduced a Bodhisattva ideal, also Buddhahood. So their approach, 10 stages, they call Dasa Bhumika Sutta, slightly different from the Theravada's approach, but still 10 different parami. Only thing is that the first 6, more or less, the Arahant Bodh, then from 7th stage onward, they practice, they become a celestial bodhisattva, and there's no, they have the power to determine whether to postpone the attainment or not. For example, their bodhisattva called Sitikapa Bodhisattva is always stationed or remain in the health realm there, and he make a vow: if the health realm is not empty, you will not become a Buddha. You see, all of them make vow. You see, so bodhisattva ideal for Mahayana all become Buddhahood. They don't become Arahant. They don't have what we call Swavakayana. Even though they seldom talk about Pacheka, but mainly emphasize on the Buddhahood, to become a Buddha, so that their main aim, their main goal is to become Buddha, to help all the sentient beings. That's a Mahayana's ideal, you see. So they even have the power to postpone their enlightenment, and they remain in the world on call basis. Anybody needs the help, you'll come and help, you see. So the 3 different periods of Buddhism offer you or explain the slightly different approaches, you see, but still they recognize Buddhahood, Arahanthood, especially the early Buddhism and Theravada, Arahanthood, and Pacceka Buddha also recognized by all the three different periods, you see. So the first slice, the introduction of three yanas, three ideals, more or less, there were some ideas, different period, they have slightly different, even though all recognize the same ideals, most of them, different emphasis only. You see, so, certain period like Theravada have added in the extra 10 parami approach. That's all. You see, so any question before we move to second one? No, huh? So,
Brother Yap.
sorry.
Brother Yap.
Yeah.
Just now you mentioned that Maitreya Buddha is a Pacceka Buddha.
Maitreya is different from Pacceka.
So he's not a Pacceka Buddha, is that? Or the next
It's
Buddha
not.
He's not. He's going to be a Sam Buddha also.
Yes. That one in future.
Yeah.
The Pacceka only remains as Pacceka. Even during Buddha's time, there were so many Pacceka, but he mentioned in the Isigiri Sutta.
So a Pacceka Buddha can appear during...
they don't, but he mentioned in the name now, they existed before. Before Buddha's time. The name of given in the Isigiri Chitta. That means the name, this type of ideal existed during Buddha's time. But I'm not saying the Buddha, the Pacceka also existed during Buddha. They cannot exist at the same time, you know.
They cannot exist at the same
ideal.
time.
I mean, he mentioned the ideal, this method. We recognize this method, this ideal, this practice.
So like Devadatta.
Devadatta is not a...
As Buddha, as Sama Sambuddha, as Gautama Buddha predicted, he is going to be a Pacceka Buddha.
Pacceka Buddha, no, he just mentioned the name. He never mentioned Devadatta. Devadatta, disciple only. Buddha never mentioned him as a Pacceka.
But I thought the Buddha did predict that Devadatta will eventually become...
No. He mentioned that in future, there will be a future Buddha called Maitreya. That's all. A short statement.
Okay, thank you.
That part we call future Buddha. Still Buddhahood. Still under Buddhahood. It's not Pacceka Buddha ideal. Still Buddha. We are talking about present Buddha, past Buddha, different issues. Now we are talking about past Buddha, present Buddha, and future Buddha. This under Buddhahood. Okay, under Buddhahood. So
Brother Yap,
makes up the issue of Buddhahood and the three different ideals. Okay, two different issues. Kelvin, correct or not?
Yeah.
If you talk about three different ideals, we talk about Pacceka Buddha ideal, Sravaka ideal, and Buddhahood ideal. Under Buddhahood ideal, you have present Buddha, future Buddha, and past Buddha. Three different things. Two different things.
Correct.
Think it over.
I got one question is, Sawaka Buddhi, Sawaka means hearer. When they hear, they attain sainthood or arahantship. Example Sariputta, the 5 disciples, they are all hearer. What about those who attain arahantship by watching? Like, for example, this Patacha, when she lost her family and she was watching the water flowing under her feet.
I know.
Then
so long as he learned from Buddha, he's under Sravaka Buddha. External feature is that external teacher teaching. The hearing, he practiced according to external teaching and attain. How he attained and what method watching this only means only, you know.
Okay, so you can put under Sawaka Buddhi.
Yes.
All right. I got
Sawaka
it.
means that you just hear, the first thing you hear Buddha's teaching, that's all. How you go and practice the vipassana, or you watching your leg washing, this is your own method. Because there are 1,001 methods, correct or not?
Okay.
Hearing main concern, okay?
Yep.
Listening the teaching from Gautama Buddha is the main thing, you see, Sawaka. And you are not unless you have no teacher, you never heard about others, just like Gautama, you practice yourself, you go this way, that way, you gain enlightenment. Then you call yourself Sammasambuddha.
So in present time, when you don't have the Sammasambuddha, do you still consider those who hear from their teacher a Sawaka?
Yes, because the Dharma is still present.
All right. Okay.
No. You cannot say now is totally no Dharma period. That's a different thing. You see? Now the Dharma period is still here for you to read the book. So you still rely on the word left over, recorded.
Okay.
Okay. Understand?
Understand. Thank you.
Basic principle first, you see. Okay. So Sister Lee, don't mix up with the Buddhahood, Buddhayana, Buddha ideal, and the Pacceka Buddha ideal. Three different things. You get me or not?
Okay, I understand what is Sawaka, hearers of the Dhamma. The Pacceka Buddha will be people people who practice on their own when there is the Buddha Sasana is not there. And then they
aspire to become a Pacceka Buddha.
That means, in other words, there is no incidents that he wants to teach.
Yes.
Okay. He doesn't want to teach lah. In other words. Okay. Then the Sammasambuddha will be when there's no teachings, you become a Buddha, but you teach.
He can teach. Yes.
You can teach.
Then Pacceka, three different things. When you talk of Maitreya, it's different. Maitreya is part of the Buddhahood. The only thing is that he's a future Buddha. That's all.
Maitreya will be a Sammasambuddha.
Yes. Only thing is that his future is forthcoming. It's not.
Yeah, correct. He's now supposed to be into Siddha lah.
Yes, to the penultimate realm. All Buddha share the same characteristic.
Okay.
Before he is reborn in the human realm and enlightened as a Sammasambuddha, he must be in the Tusita heaven.
Okay, I got it.
You got it, huh?
Yes, I got it. It's only thing that when I asked you about Devadatta, the Buddha actually predicted that Devadatta will become a Pacceka Buddha.
That one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know whether he's in the Sutta or in the commentary. He is in the hell realm, and he predicted that when all his suffering ended, back karma over in the hell realm, he will be reborn as a Buddha future. Yes, that one.
By the name of Atisara.
As a what Buddha?
As a Pacceka Buddha by the name of Atisara.
You will become Buddha lah. Most likely, as you say, Pacceka. That's after his back karma life
expired lah. He has finished up doing all abuse lah.
Finish his lifespan in the hell realm. You will be born as a Buddha, but whether in what name or not, maybe it appear in the commentary. But I remember he will become a Buddha in future.
Then Sumedha.
Name I don't know.
I think in
the future Buddha Maitreya, Buddha mentioned black and white. That's all.
Atisara is the correct name, Atisara.
Atisara.
Okay, so this part you are clear, huh?
Yes, I'm clear. Then the other thing, when Sumedha met the Buddha Dipankara, he made a vow that he wanted to be a Sammasambuddha.
Yes.
Then, at that time, Sumedha was an Arahant.
He say, the text say he qualified. He say, even though I'm qualified to be Arahant, but I want to be a qualified. I want to give up to a Arahantship. I want to become a Sama Sambuddha so that I can help everybody.
Oh. Then, in other words, had he not made that vow, because if he's an Arahant, there's no need for him to be reborn.
No, he is not Arahant. The text, he can be Arahant, qualified Arahant.
Qualified to be an Arahant.
If you go on and practice, he can be Arahant.
Okay.
That's the difference, He's not himself Arahant, Himself Arahant is no way to become a Buddha again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you understand. So
Yes,
the wording is very important. He is in the capacity of becoming an Arahant.
Which means to say that
but you cannot say he is an Arahant.
Okay.
See? He gave up the idea to proceed further simply because he admires Dipankara body. This concept is not found in early Buddhism. You must know this text, Buddha Vamsa, appears few hundred years after Buddha passed away. We call it a late text, you see. So this period when Mahayana, not officially formed, but a lot of Mahayana ideas appear at the same time. Mahayana also talk, we want to become Buddha, help everybody. Arahant, inferior, only pass away, no rebirth, say bye-bye already, can't help everybody. You see, Buddha can. So the Mahayana went even one step earlier. You can postpone seventh stage of the parami. You got power to postpone, the Siddhigava, Kuan Yin. I postpone and I can come and help you. Anyway, so I still qualify. If I proceed further, become Buddha also can. So this idea of helping everybody, altruism, the idea of altruism. Then Theravada school also adopted this. So Sumangara, example, Sumangara make this vow. That's a bit of what we call Mahayana idea. Correct or not? It's not found in early Buddhism. It's late Buddhism. Okay? So you cannot say Mahayana, Theravada, 100% no Mahayana idea. Also depends on a different stage of history. See? So this idea he expressed, you read the chapter, you know, explain very clearly.
Brother Yap, this
Yes.
also on Pachika Buddha. We are currently in the Dhamma age, so there won't be any Pachika Buddha appearing,
Yes,
right?
yes, no.
So in other words, when the Dhamma age come to an end, over a period
everybody
of time,
forget about it.
yes.
At the age of 4 or 5 years old, father married the daughter, son married the mother. You know the text says the all Klang Kabut one. That time, Sama Buddha will appear.
Yeah, and also that is also during that period before the Sama Sambuddha appear, the Pachika Buddha also can appear before that.
Before that, yes, but not at the same time.
Yes, of course not at the same time, before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but most likely Sama Buddha, because Pachika appear, you cannot teach people. So
okay.
But then, Brother Yap, the Pachika Buddha must appear before the Sama Sambuddha, because if there's outside of the Buddha Sasana, if the Sama Sambuddha appear, the Pachika Buddha cannot appear until the Dhamma ending
but
age,
during,
isn't it?
during the certain the eon, the world in a cycle. So you come first, next one you come first, is something like a circle.
Okay, but
all stages, the one kappa, one eon, all just develop, declining, no dharma, then coming back again, one cycle. So sometimes you cannot say this one first, that one first within a cycle.
Okay, it's within a cycle. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's quite difficult to say,
The beginning, isn't it?
I will talk in terms of the cycle, you see.
Okay.
So, okay, next thing. So, first ideal, Arahantship. You know the meaning of Arahantship, huh? To become Arahant, enlightened as Arahant only through Sravaka, by hearing, listening to a superior teacher's talk. This one I mentioned. So this method, Sravaka Yana Pa. Sravaka means hearer. For example, you know all the example, no need to, you know. So Arahantship do not accumulate first karma, all this you know, a normal rebirth. And then what they do, they don't create fresh karma. Then you were wondering, what sort of mental thought? Because their mental thought, when they do, they don't have intention to do. This type of citta we call creative citta. Just do functional citta. Do, eat, that's all. You want to say, I want to eat, or this one nice, that one is different, you see. That one you create karma. But since the Arahant, do not create fresh karma, no more rebirth. So whatever function or any acts do not involve intention, you see. So this type of citta, this type of action we call kriya citta. Okay. So no more kusala or akusala citta in their mind, you see. So understand this one Arahant's, how Arahant function. So meaning Arahant, everyone knows no more refinement, completed the path, gone beyond rebirth. This one I don't elaborate. This one is worthy of gift, worthy of respectation, all this. But in the early text, Buddha also known as Arahant sometimes. So Arahato, Sama Sambuddha, you know, sometimes he is known, not because he's Arahant, just fitted a title only, saying that he has eradicated all the defilement, that's all. You see? Then the path to become Arahantship. This one everyone knows. So practice requires the development of both insight as well as tranquility method of meditation. This together, these two methods, after listening to Buddha's talk, he practiced, he meditate, he first good in Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Then, you know, when he practice, he doesn't mean straight to adopt the Vipassana method. If you read the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, how Buddha practiced, meditated, and ultimately enlightened, you know, he sat under the tree, right or not? First thing. Then he meditated and gained concentration. All the jhana, mind become very clear, very calm, right or not? That's the stage of what we call samatha stage. Then after that, he switched to insight, looking inwards. That's a vipassana stage. So these two come hand in hand, you know, just like a coin, head and tail together. And unlike why nowadays people split the two things, because they follow the later text, Visuddhimagga. They split out, oh, Vipassana is separate practice. Oh, Samatha is different practice. Whereas in the early sutta, for example, Mahasatipatthana, when Buddha sat under the tree and gained enlightenment, he did not split the two, you know, stage by stage. Samatha come down, then only he switched to the insight, you see. So the even when Buddha taught his disciple, they also practice according to this method, you see. So gradually they eradicated certain factors, then only they walk along the supramundane path. So no more putujana. From there, the first stage, there are 4 stages: Sotapanna, Anagami, Satagami, and Arahantship, 4 stages. But this to walk along this supramundane paths, there's no way to for them to return to the mundane world. They are guaranteed to be enlightened. You see, it's a matter of time. the longest 7 life, you see. So the 2 conditions, hindrances must be removed. All the 10 fetters must be removed, you see. Important factors, you cannot say I meditated and attained jhana straight away enlightened. You must remove all the hindrances, all the fetters. Otherwise, you cannot say you become an Arya. Arya only those normal disciple who walk along the supramundane path on the way to Nibbana, you see. So this basic outline regarding the path to Arahantship. We don't go into details how the chitta have been eradicated, how this akusala this appear and rise. These are in different topics. Just give you the general outlines. So meditative development, a mind firm foundation. This one you know, sila samadhi panya, all incorporated in the practice to become an arahantship. You see. Then in a later text, they add in the practice of 10 parami to gain enlightenment. Put the notes. In the early sutta, we do not mention the term samatha vipassana. This one I explained to you already. Okay, you read the note. And then fulfillment of 10 parami. Early Buddhism talk about practicing normal Eightfold Path. Only in the later text, like Buddha Wangsa, talk about 10 parami. That's how I explained to you already. As I mentioned early sutta, though individual parami as virtue, say donation, giving, morality, good conduct, they appear separately in different sutta, you know. You cannot say, oh, early sutta never talk about parami. Yes, they talk, but they do not include all the 10 together and practice to become a Buddha. You see, just mention the good virtue here and there, that's all in early sutta. So you have to differentiate. Then spiritual practice, supramundane path, this one I more or less I talked already. Okay. To become an Arahant, according to the commentary, compared to Pacheka Buddhahood and compared to Samasam Buddhahood, the easiest one is the Arahant. Easier, of course, not to for the lay people like us. Even though to become an Arahant, it takes 1 asankaya and 100,000 kappa. As 1 asankaya means you cannot imagine, you cannot calculate how long, incalculable the period you had lost count in years, practice. Then only thing you can remember is kappa, 100,000 kappa. Then that means Arahant, to become Arahant, needs 1 asankaya and 100,000 kappa. Here, the meaning of asankaya and the kappa is quite confusing. You have to refer to a book like Buddhist cosmology, you know. Otherwise, the commentary will interpret one way, Abhidhamma interpret another way. You see, here the most popular definition for asankaya means incalculable. One cannot determine how long is it. It's different from the asankaya kappa or antara kappa, which is 1/4 of the mahakappa. Normally in the Buddhist cosmology, they talk about 1 cycle, a world cycle, 1 eon, 4 different stages. Now the whole thing, the world is stable, well developed, 1 stage. So after some time, people slowly begin to forget about Dharma, and the world slowly begin to disintegrate. The 2nd stage. Then 3rd stage, totally the world disintegrated, and then certain realms have been burned off by fire, destroyed by fire, by water, up to certain realm. That's a very detailed, we cannot discuss. You see, if you read the chart, sometimes the chart will show you in it after how many years this realm will be destroyed by fire, destroyed by wind, destroyed by the something. Only a certain realm, higher realm remain. You see, so that indicate the changes of the world cycles. So from develop, then disintegrating, then disappear, the whole world disappear, then the whole world slowly come back again, 4 stages. Each stage we call, the period we call Antarakapa, 4 Antarakapa. Then the overall we call Mahakapa. You see, that's the meaning of Mahakapa, the Asankaya Kappa. From here lah, we don't have to know in detail this one. I can just give you an idea because the text says to become Arahant, you require 1 Asankaya. Then you should have some idea what's Asankaya. And 100,000 kappa, then you have to know what is the meaning of 100,000 kappa lah, world cycle. You see, okay. But to be Pacheka is slightly longer. Some Buddha even longer, 4 Asankaya and 100,000 kappa. This one recorded in Abhidhamma also. You see? So this one very detailed, you don't have to know. I just put in the notes here. So any question become want to ask about the path to Arahantship, how long it become, what's the process, detailed process, or in brief here. Okay, we don't go into detail because the main emphasis is to explain the ideals only, the meaning of Arahant, how to become Arahant, and how long to become Arahant. That's all. Any questions? State of Arahant, everyone also know.
So in other words, when a person enter the first stage of sainthood and then then upgraded to Sakakadami, then Anagami, then finally Arahant. So in other words, you are also subject to this period of time Asankaya and the 1,000
it's complete
cycle.
Time to practice until you attain Arahanthood, at least normally 1 Asankaya and 100,000 kappas. 1 Asankaya plus 100,000
kappa
world cycles.
Okay.
Okay. This kappa, how many quarters? One world cycle, 4 quarters, different stages. So and so. So you don't have to know detail. We'll give you some ideas. 1 kappa, how many million years, all this. You don't care. It's totally lost, incalculable. And then in the sutta, Buddha mentioned, give one simile, every 100 years, one person appear, he holds a very fine piece of silk, and he tried to rub on the surface of one big rock, 14 miles long, 14 miles width, 40 miles high, a big piece of rock. Yes, slowly, gently rub one time. Then he disappeared. Then 100 years later, he appear again, rub again, one more time. So after so many million years, he rubbed until the piece of rock, very hard rock, totally wiped off, worn off, not by the natural result like wind blow, all this, truly his own effort, his own work to rub off. So how long it takes for the piece of rock to be totally destroyed, disappear? 1 kappa. Okay, that's an example, 1 kappa. So 100,000 kappa, just imagine how long. Buddha in the sutta did not mention exactly how many years. Just give you one example. This, I think you have read this in the sutta somewhere.
Yeah.
And then more than 1 Asankaya, 4 to become a Sammasambuddha, 4 Asankaya. Arahant, 1 Asankaya. That one totally forgotten how many years. Just to show you how long. Okay, you have to practice. Okay, next thing, stay Arahant. This one, I think everyone will know lah. You just read this one. He lived in solitude. Arahant always live in solitude. That's why, unlike the millennia Panya says, once a layman become Arahant, you must become a monk, otherwise you die. But in the early Sutta, never say that. You just, simply because they cannot fit into the layman's under rhinoceros. This one have been recorded in the Kanga Visana Sutta, Sutta Nipata. Wandering like a rhinoceros. You cannot fit into a layman's life, married life, home's life, this and that. It's different from what the millennials says. He must die, something like that. Nothing mentioned in the early Sutta. Somebody quote this, you say this one from millennia, but not in the Sutta. That's all. See?
But in the history, Buddha's time, his father, King Sudana, became the first layman Arahant.
He was about to die. The father very sick.
Yep.
So happened he not because he died because he became Arahant. He died just because he about to die. Very sick already.
Yeah.
The wording is very important. You don't interpret twist the word. The sutta, the text says that father is very sick, is dying process. So happened Buddha preaching, he attained arahantship. Then a few days time he died. So you don't interpret. He enlightened, then he cannot become a layman. He must die. It's totally different interpretation. A lot of people interpret that way. So Mirapana interpret that way. You see. And there's another monk, he committed suicide. He cut his vein or something like that. Then he meditated on the pain, he gained arahantship. Then he died. Not because he died, not because he cannot remain as a layman. Then the time he already cut his vein, bleeding, about to die, correct or not? The same case as King Suddhodana. So people interpret twisted wrongly. Not because he became Arahant, he cannot remain in the lay life. Just so happened that he's about to die. Okay? So after Arahant, Pacheka Bodhi, the second ideal. So a person who achieves his goal by his own effort. So Pacheka Bodhi become Pacheka Buddha. The word Buddha is that by his own effort. Remember, unless you say Arahant ideal, then you call it, you mean external teacher is required. But so long as you say Bodhi, Pacheka Bodhi, own effort, first thing, without seeking externally. But one thing different is that he make an aspiration, a firm resolution that he want to become a Pacheka Buddha, and he knows that he cannot teach. And then later, after making the aspiration, he practice the 10 parami. Because early Buddhism, early Sutta, Buddha never talk about how a Pacheka Buddha practice. So now, you only mention the name, the existence of Pacheka Buddha, living in the Isigiri hill. There are so many Pacheka Buddha live there. That's all. You see, you talk about Pacheka Buddha coming in and out. You see, only in the later text, commentary, they talk about how Pacheka Buddha practice and enlighten as a Pacheka Buddha. That means a person first make a resolution, aspiration, as usual to become a Buddha . Ten paramita indicates that that's the later text. Because during the latest text, I talk about the 10 paramita. Then time period, time frame require 2 incalculable, asankaya, 100,000 kappa still remain the same, aeon. Okay, Arahant, 1 asankaya, Pacheka Buddha, 2 asankaya, much longer. Okay, enlightened as Pacheka Buddha. as per commentary says that slightly longer, Buddhahood. Then the Pacheka Buddha lacks what's the characteristic? He preaching, you see, expound Dharma. That's why he has very few or no sasana, unlike Buddha, Sammasambuddha. There's a order of Sangha, the disciple, you see, because he can teach other people. There are so many people who follow him. So Sammasambuddha can form a sasana so that the teaching can, can be transmitted from generation to generation. You see, that's why compared to Sammasambuddha, this Pacheka Buddha has less virtue. He cannot share Dharma with others. Sharing, one thing, less virtue, and then less omniscient, has less powers. You see, compared to Sammasambuddha. But occasionally, once a while, he teaches about morality. That's all. You see? Not to say totally nothing, a bit only. So another thing is that a Pacheka Buddha arises when Buddha's teaching does not exist, when there's no Sammasambuddha, but they cannot exist at the same time. One thing. Second thing is that during the certain given period, a Sammasambuddha appear. You cannot have two Sammasambuddha appear at the same time. For example, this year in India you have Sammasambuddha. In China another Sammasambuddha. No. Different period. Maybe how million years after one Buddha, Sammasambuddha passed away. Then another few million years appear again somewhere else. Okay, but this Pacheka Buddha different. Pacheka Buddha can 2 or 3 or 4 can exist, can appear at a given time. Okay. No Pacheka Buddha will arise in an era when there's a Sammasambuddha. They cannot together. But Pacheka Buddha 2 or 3 can appear together. But 2 different Sammasambuddha cannot appear together. And Sammasambuddha and Pacheka also appear together, cannot appear together. Okay, clear? So Pacheka Buddha attained enlightenment in a human world, same as Sammasambuddha. Buddha always in a human world. I left out one slide, I forgot to put in. The qualification to become a Buddha must be a human being. Enlightened as a Buddha in the human realm. It must be a male and something else, right or not? That one I forgot to put in. That one you can do your research. So Sammasambuddha, each world cycles, sometimes they have no Sammasambuddha, because throughout our universe, we have so many world cycles appear and disappear, correct or not? Certain world cycle, no Sammasambuddha, 0. And our present world cycle, we have maximum 5 Sammasambuddha. Up to now, we have 4 Gautama Buddha, and there will be a future Maitreya coming later, 5th. That's all for this cycle. This one in the commentary say. So you see, unlike Sammasambuddha, then the Pacheka Buddha's number is not limited because they can arise at the same given period. Many can arise at the same given period. For example, in Isigiri Sutta, Buddha mentioned the name of many living there before. So many Pacheka Buddha living together in the Isigiri hills near Rajagaha. See? So there's evidence. So anything else before we talk about Sammasambuddha? Anything about Pacheka? Nothing, very quiet.
Only meditation. Can I ask the question? Just now we have touched on this meditation where Brother Yap, you mentioned in the early practice during Buddha's time, Anapanasati or Samantha and Vipassana are actually alongside. They are practiced alongside. It is not
yes.
separated. But it
Yes,
is
yes.
actually later text under the Theravada, they are separated into Anapanasati and Vipassana. However, now,
They separate samatha and vipassana.
yep. So,
Samatha.
yeah, but this day, as you understand, many schools are practicing in a different way. Each are
Yeah.
giving voice to their own practice, such as
Yes.
Vipassana. They only start Vipassana. In
Yeah.
other school, like you follow the forest meditation, they go to Anapanasati, right?
Yes.
So what is the impact? Like we are just laymen practicing so Anapanasati. So when is the time right for us to look inside that is called the Vipassana?
So first thing you have to don't confuse yourself. When we talk about anapana and satipatthana, this is different from samatha and vipassana. When we talk about
Okay.
samatha, these two come together, different approaches, different stages. We talk about anapana, it's a technique, breathing, and satipatthana can be rising, falling, watching. This is technical side. Technical side, you have to breathing, anapana, satipatthana, one issue. When you talk about the different stages, concentration followed by wisdom, there's samatha and vipassana. Different issue, you don't mix up these two. You see?
Okay.
You mix up these two. Understand?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now our concern is that in the early sutta, for example, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, when Buddha practiced under a tree to enlighten as a Buddha, that night, the night of enlightenment, samatha and vipassana together, correct? First, samatha, very clear, his mind like mirror, correct? Then he switch to the inward, looking at the inside. I mean, from samatha, switch to vipassana. Then he watched the rising, this and the karma, the chitta, past life, this and that, and gain enlightenment. That's his earliest method where Buddha adopted during the night of enlightenment. Correct or not? Right or not? I mean, these two things come hand in hand. You must gain concentration, then samadhi, concentration, then panya, sila, samadhi, panya, according to normal F4 Park's method. Whereas in a later text, post-canonical text, Visuddhimagga, this and that, is split into two. Oh, when you practice samatha means samatha. You do ignore samatha method, you go straight to vipassana. That's a later approach. That's it. That's historical facts. You see, that's their choice. You see, they want to follow this. You want to follow the Buddha's method, gain concentration, jhana, then slowly calm, then switch to, the inward looking. That's the early method. Anything? That's a difference. But most of the people, especially Burmese, they adopted the later approach. You see, commentary approach. Anything before we
Thank
get
you.
to Sama-sama Buddha? Nothing, Okay. So now the third jhana, ideal, Sama-sama Buddha. This one, as I mentioned many times, attain the supreme enlightenment by himself. You see, most developed and most compassionate, loving of all knowing perfect being. So this is the most difficult among the three different ideals. You see, rarely appear in the world. This one you have to refer to Anguttara Nikaya 3, chapter 3, Sutta 114. And unlike Pachika Buddha, only one supreme, this one I mentioned also, at a particular period of time, only you can find one Sama-sama Buddha. You see? So they are at this moment, at this world cycle, current world cycle, there are 5. In this kappa, this cycle, there are 5. Commentary says that there are 5. So we have 4 already up to Gautama Buddha. Before that, Vipassi, or I can't remember the name, Kasapa or something like that. Vipassi or something like that. Then Gautama Buddha. Then next one, Buddha say what? Maitreya will be the future one. So this kappa, this world cycle, we will have 5 Sammasambuddha. Okay. So how to determine whether the teaching is completely off? Then only the next Buddha will appear. Here, the notes here, same period means conception, not only the teaching disappear, even he read it totally gone. Teaching forgotten, read it in the stupa there, totally gone case, no more. People totally forgot. Because if you don't have the Dharma, but you see the stupa, you see a relic, you still remember, oh, Buddha's teaching there. Correct or not? Or existence of Buddha. But here, when you say no more Dharma, no more Buddha, totally gone. Not even the images, not even the stupa, not even the relics, not even the teaching, completely gone. That period, you say, dark, empty, no Dharma. Okay? Only then another Buddha will appear. That's a definition given by Bhikkhu Bodhi, note, Anguttara Nikaya page. When you say disappearing of all these things, that means disappearing of Dharma, including the relics. Okay. So the present kappa, there's a name, according to commentary. Our present kappa we call Bhadra kappa. 4 Buddhas already appear. Kakusanda Buddha, Konagama, Kassapa, and Gautama. 4 Buddha already appear, and 1 future Buddha, Maitreya, will appear in future. You see, in certain kappa, there's no Buddha at all. Some kappa without Buddha, then there are other Buddhas, Vipassi. Because in the name, in the Buddhist text, there are so many Buddha in it. Not all the Buddha all came into this kappa, some in different kappa. Only in this world cycle, this kappa, we have these 4 appear before. Other name of Buddha's name that you have read in the text, they appear in different kappa before. Okay? There are so many 28 or 20, how many Buddha, past Buddha in it. Some appear in different kappa. So you see all these, they live 91 and 31 kappas ago. That's a note here for you to refer only. So becoming a Sammasambuddha, according to commentaries, first, not according to early sutta, but according to commentary, firstly, the aspirant should possess a quality to become an Arahant. So I'm not saying that he already become an Arahant. He has a quality. He can become an Arahant, you see. Sumedha's case. Here he need to make a strong aspiration and declare the present living Sammasambuddha, who predict that some distant future he become a Buddha. These pieces of information taken from the later text Buddha Vamsa. So how Buddha Vamsa talks about becoming a Buddha by practicing 10 paramita. So these are the qualifications. So the Bodhisattva then practice 10 paramita, and then this one not in early sutta, and then without a teacher. Without teacher, he ultimately become a Buddha, right? When you say without a teacher, he will become a Buddha, Bodhisattva. This takes extremely long time, 4 asangkaya and 100,000 kappa. Paceka Buddha 2 asangkaya, Arahant 1 asangkaya. This Samasam Buddha 4 asangkaya. Okay, incalculable. Incalculable, say you don't know what time lah. Practice until you forget about the time. After attaining, he expound to compassion doctrine. Yes, as a Samasam Buddha, he is able to teach others. He can have a sasana, the Sangha orders, so that they learn from him and transmit his teaching from generation to generation. Okay, that's a quality of Samasam Buddha and his sasana. See, in the early Buddhism, Bodhisattva refer, this one spelling, we change. When we talk about the meaning of Bodhisattva, there are several different interpretations, you know. During the early Buddhism, when we talk about the sutta, we do talk about commentary like Jataka. In the sutta, when Buddha say, when I was a Bodhisattva, he always mentioned a statement in it. He referred to a time when he was born up to a moment he gained enlightenment. That's a Bodhisattva. But in the later text, like Jataka stories, they push backward or include his past life. So many eon, how many existence ago, when he was a rabbit, when he was a king, when he was a somebody, he practiced this dana, he jumped into the mountain cave and fed himself to feed the hungry tigers, practice compassion. All these are past commentary stories, you see. So not found in the early sutta. They just want to glorify it, to justify his in the past life. He practiced all the 10 parami to the perfection that in this life he meditated and became and attained Buddhahood, Samasam Buddhahood. That's all. Just to make the story complete lah. You get me? So if you just read the sutta, early sutta, you only read about the present life, how Buddha sat under the tree and gained enlightenment. So in order to show that, emphasize that he already practiced parami long ago. So they add in the story, created the Jataka story, the commentary, talk about the past life, he fed tiger, he helped all the blind, he gave away the wife and the son to the king, this and that. All those practice of 10 parami lah. So much so that this life he already more or less perfected, then plus the touch meditation, he gain enlightenment.
So, Brother Yap.
So make the whole story about, okay.
Brother Yap. So, in other words, who wrote these Jataka stories?
Those compiler name, nobody know. Even the present, the 4 or 5 Nikaya who compiled this, these Indian people never put the name, never put the dates, because he has undergone, the researchers have undergone, have made a lot of research. This present volume have been undergone so many revisions from their study about the passages, the languages, you know, the construction of sentences, the use, the terminology. They study word by word. They found, oh, it's not homogeneous, you know, the whole thing is heterogeneous. Just like now, practice write a story about, oh, internet, you know, must be 20th century. So internet, check CIPT, right or not? So they study all this method, oh, this period. Or sometimes, oh, I go to pasar, this one must be Malaysian English. I go to pasar, this and that. something like corrupted English. So all these scholars, researchers, they study all these patterns, terminology, grammar, the usage of the term, technical term. They more or less can study all the present volume. It's not was not compiled by the one person the same time, same period. No. So throughout a long period, 1,000 years, on and off, they add in, they revise, then add in some terms, then they compare with Chinese version, this and that. See, then they come to conclusion. So it's only universally known. It's not it's not compiled, was not compiled by one person, rather by so many people throughout a long period of time. Okay.
Okay, I understand the text, the Nikayas can be like that because there is a frame of reference. But when it comes to Jataka stories, is it just cerita dongeng, or is it created by people based on the paramis?
The story
It was
all
never spoken by the Buddha.
no, story all taken by the compiler from all the popular story prevalent in India. Those
Okay.
the stories they just
Based on the Indian culture.
Some from Mesopotamia. This
Okay. So there are no mention that the Buddha mentioned that, at one time.
All these are commentary. That's why I say Jataka story are commentary. Only thing inside in some Buddha's verses. Sometimes if you read the story, the verses there, verses what and what. That one is a genuine Buddha's verses. They just
Okay, so in other words, if today we can find Jataka stories maybe 500, then let's say maybe in 1,000 years there will be more Jataka stories. People can
no. Now they already canonized. Once canonized means they close shop.
They cannot add on anymore.
Cannot. That's what we call canon.
Okay.
Already fixed already.
All right.
This canonization was completed shortly after Asoka's time.
The second council.
That's why the popular one, Miranapana, sorry, not in the canon. They fix the time until such time Buddha Gosa say we recognize this 15 texts in Buddhaka Nikaya was fixed by Buddha Gosa, a commentator. He say all these texts make up Buddhaka Nikaya. So
No more addition.
Theravada monks of Mahavihara accepted this 15, and this 15 become their tradition. So generation from generation, we only recognize the 15. So no other thing can be added in, something like that. So if you say our tradition follow this means follow this, how can he add in later? Then become a new sangha, new school deviated from the main teaching. You see, this is our tradition, our orthodox teaching. 15 means 15. This teaching is like that, means like that. You see, no more. Even Miranda Panya, so popular one. Also, sorry, it's not in the canon. Correct or not? All fixed already. You see, that's become a tradition. You see, that's what we call a tradition. So, Temparami, Asankaya, entertaining. So this one also okay, So now we talk about the term Bodhisattva. Theravada's perspective, the meaning of Bodhisattva, one who intend or devoted to gain enlightenment. You see, that's what we call a Bodhisattva, who aspire to gain enlightenment. You see, Bodhisattva. But according to the early sutta, when Buddha say when I was a bodhisattva, it means that he referred to a period of time when he was a small kid until the time he became a Buddha. That period before enlightenment we call bodhisattva. But later compiler, later Theravada include his past life as also say he was a bodhisattva. If you read the Jataka story, you always say, oh, bodhisattva, this and that. That means they have extended the term, the meaning to his past life. Okay. Then Buddhahood, compare the three Buddhahood, Sawaka, Buddha and Pacheka Buddha. Buddhahood is the most difficult one and the normals difficult. And then Bodhisattva, Meda practice and perfected ten parami, attain Buddha Vamsa. So different period of time you have different interpretation regarding the term Bodhisattva. Whether you talk about according to the sutta, or you talk about according to the commentary, all different. Be careful. So the three types of bodhisattva, there are three types normally: intellectual, energetic, and devotional. Intellectual, devotional, energetic. Three types. This one not mentioned by Buddha, just modern people will call it. Because in modern day, you can see different type of practitioner. Some intellectual, strictly follow the early teaching, do dana, practice sila, practice bhavana to gain wisdom. That's a traditional method according to the suttas teaching. But right now, they concentrate more on development of wisdom, practice meditation guided by reason and not blind belief. So they prefer slowly practice, attain Buddhahood within a short period of time. But this method is very dry, not interesting, because they don't go for chanting, ceremony, this 28 puja, this and that, this ceremony that is purely meditate, retreat, then keep good morality. It's very traditional method, you see. So they have excluded, they only have what we call devotional practice, very little. Because too much devotion become what? Blind belief, you see. They only follow strictly the pure teaching rather than devotion. Devotion, rely on the external object. Pray to the Bodhi tree, pray to the images, go for daily chanting, go for this 28 Buddha's rituals, this and that, devotional. So they seldom go for all these type of practices, purely guided by the meditation and morality practices. So a bit dry, but it takes but compared to the other two, the first one is more difficult and more much closer to the early teaching, you see. So the second method, devotional type of bodhisattva, they are full of piety and full of devotional thought, full of sada, devotion, and they are keen on all the external form of homages, like Buddha's image. They conduct puja, they pray, they worship, they pay respect, in order to gain inspiration, you see. So images and sutta to them is very important, rather than the practice of meditation, read the sutta, understanding this, the pure external form, you see. So Buddhism does not renounce such practice, even though, you see, wisdom is more important. So the devotional takes a longer period compared with the first intellectual time. Intellectual, because they strictly follow the Buddha's teaching, sila, then samadhi and panya, meditation. The devotional is a bit away from this type of practice, more on the external form, ceremony, devoted to a certain images, stupa worship, this and that. So this one is a bit different from early teaching. It may take a longer time to attain Buddhahood. But then the third type, energetic, This one very popular. People always do the social work. Instead of go for sutta study, practice meditation, morality. This one they pay least attention. Instead, a lot of services. So for example, tsunami, they go whole gang go and help. Do all social work, help people, sick people. This one also good. Social work. This is what we call energetic bodhisattva. Helping only external work. So they may understand a little bit of Dharma, understand a little bit of meditation, purify the mind, seldom purify, only work and help people. They believe that by helping people, they gain a lot of merit so that they have a better future life, accumulate merit, they gain enlightenment. So this method is not very traditional according to Sutta study. So it takes a very long time to gain enlightenment. So 3 types of bodhisattva: energetic, devotional, and intellectual. So most of us here who read and attend classes, they understand, they adopt the intellectual type. Whereas the public are not so educated, they adopted the energetic type, helping people to them. Help people means gain merit, so that they can enlighten and become Buddha. So no more. So the rest from 1931 meant for references only. You want to read further, then all about the parami, the 10 parami. What are the 10 parami? You see, for example, 10 wholesome parami, dana, sila, all this. Then I explain in details. We trace out from the Jataka story, which story talk about the dana. For example, dana talk about the meaning of dana mentioned in the what Jataka highlight the practice of dana, all this 10 parami. But this one is not part of the content of these topics for your reference only. So today's one up to here only. Any questions? So it's about 2:30, 4:30, more or less the same time. Question time.
Brother Yap,
Yes.
since we are all in the human realm as well in all the Deva realm, we are in this present cycle. So when the Dharma age comes to an end, that you have described, where the world really, the relics are so gone, the temple gone, the stupa also gone, and people
Teaching also
forgotten
gone, all
about the
forgotten.
Will this also affect throughout other religion? Is there anything mentioned about this? Other religion, other sects?
This one
because we are all in the world system. If we are in such a state, so that means the whole world will be in darkness. It will be very chaotic.
Yes. Only talk about Buddhism. Buddha never mentioned whether Hinduism or what Ism. Christianity or Islam.
Yeah, because I was thinking along this line, if we are in such a chaotic situation, how could we just only Buddhism, those who profess Buddhism and other sects are not affected? So I would think that
they don't believe.
Yeah.
They don't believe. Still say they can survive. So you cannot include them also. From Buddhist perspective, so long don't have your own Dharma, that means this applies to this. You cannot other people are put inside the Buddhism here. In Buddhist perspective. In Buddhist perspective. You think it over. Everybody forget about Dharma. Dharma as interpreted according to Buddha.
That's what I'm thinking. Outside us, all the Dharmas, everybody will be subjected to a certain condition which is ever changing. So if we are talking about
if from Buddha's point of view, other people's other teaching also not fit into this Dharma, that means they also included. Right or not?
Uh,
If you fit into Dharma in Buddhist perspective, then it applies lah. See where fit into it. If I don't believe it, you force it to become also no point. You see, it's one side will believe, the other side they never believe. You see,
Brother Yap.
yeah.
Yes, the Sama Sambuddha will appear after the Dharma ending age. Yes,
When there's no Dharma, no ready, no super, nothing at all.
nothing.
Dark age,
That means Gautama, when Gautama Buddha was born, it is the end of the Dharma ending age.
When
When Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama was born.
Yeah. Born
Okay.
that time, yes.
That is the time when
We can call it the time of dark age, no Dharma.
but you see,
The
at
text
that
says that
time,
he rediscover the Dharma.
but there were so many yogis, so many hermits, and so many people practicing
Yes.
enlightenment.
No, and like that's why I told Brother Kevin, from Buddhist perspective, that's not a pure Buddha's teaching. You remember in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta say, the last word Buddha talked to the Sumedha, the monk, say, if any other faith, system of faith, without the teaching of normal Eightfold Path, there won't be any Arahant. That means there is no Dharma at all. No pure Dharma from the Buddha's perspective, point of view.
Okay. That means
So even though you have Jainism, you have Brahmanism, have all the sacrifice, it's not Dharma at all, you see. So to the Buddha's teaching.
But it was when the Buddha was born, during that period, was it very chaotic in the world?
Sorry, I can't hear, too soft.
Was it very chaotic in the world?
During Buddha's time, yes. When you talk about origin of Buddhism, which I'm going to talk in a diploma class, during 6th BC, the Aryan practice Brahmanika system. They conduct sacrifice, system, ceremony, chanting. They don't believe in the morality. To them, when they offer to the god, just offering, they do the karma. The concept is that they chant correctly, they pray correctly, they offer correctly, everything precisely, then they gain the favor of the god. And naturally, they get all the benefit. They don't talk about the morality until Buddha's time or shortly before Buddha's time. Then they incorporate the concept of morality into karma, law of karma. Buddhism says that you have to be moral, then you have a good karma, good vipaka. Whether a Brahmanika system, Brahmin, they don't talk about this. They talk about prayer, chanting, mantra, everything must.
Okay, thank you.
Fit into Buddha's perspective regarding the morality and the karma, the teaching. So from Buddha, during Buddha's time, not considered as a true Dharma. You consider a dark age in that way, you see. Jain also different. The 6 heretical teachers also different. Some say one life only. After that, no more life, no karma. You do this, do good, also no point. All fatalism. So all these 60 over schools, philosophical school plus a Brahmanika system, their teaching never fit into the Buddha's teaching, you know. So from Buddha's point of view, all this teaching, they don't call it pure or correct Dharma, you see. So to Buddha, the age is considered a dark age, no Dharma. Understand? Even though you have different school, but different school is different from our teaching, our concept. You see. To them, they may say, oh, our concept is correct. That's their view. I go to heaven. But from Buddha's point of view, this is no. Some practice as a dog ascetic, some practice as cow ascetic, you know. To them it's okay, but to Buddha it's not the Dharma. Still considered a dark age. No. This is the argument.
Yes.
So any other thing? Only two of you ask question. The rest no question. No question. We call it a day.